Oh my god. Okay, so I haven't watched a Ukraine-Russia video in a while, but this is a big one because it's been hitting news a lot. Ukraine attacked Moscow, and this is kind of a significant deal. I don't know why, I guess we'll know it in this video. But this is Moscow turns into hell as Ukraine's drone hit Moscow hard. By channel Business Basic. Yeah, this is one of those channels that I watch, and I guess it's pretty fast. Because I didn't find any other video, like channel. Like I was trying to find military show video, and I'm pretty sure there isn't yet. I'm sure that channel is mostly Ukraine-Russia thing. So he'll make a video soon. But yeah, this is like pretty fast. It's gonna be interesting. Let's watch this one. Ooh! Look at the
ultimate payback has officially begun, and Russia's capital, Moscow, is burning. Just a few days ago, Putin committed an unthinkable war crime by bombing innocent civilians for 48 hours in Ukraine. This was one of the largest
He did? Whoa!
attack Russia has launched since this war started. But he forgot.
Why is Ukraine-Russia thing, the news is not breaking out everywhere like it used to? Russia bombed Ukraine for 48 hours straight, and it's not even making news. That's insane.
Forgot one thing. This is 2026, not 2022. The Ukrainian retaliation was massive and also unprecedented. Ukraine hit Moscow with an attack so large that the capital has not seen since World War II. Over 1,000 attack drones completely overwhelmed Putin's air defense systems, turning his untouchable capital city into an absolute war zone. Moscow's terrified elites are now literally watching their own military accidentally blow up their own apartment buildings in sheer panic. The war has officially come home for Russia. The hunter has become the hunted, and Putin has no one to blame but himself. This whole thing started with his mistake, a massive mistake that will go down in history. Just a few days ago on May 15th, Russia carried out a huge wave of strikes on Ukrainian targets, killing at least 25 people and injuring hundreds more. In the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, Russia targeted a 9-story apartment building. This was a civilian building. 24 people died here, 3 of them being...
That's it. Point blank. The civilian. Is that where we are at now? Should we attack military targets? Should we attack infrastructure, like industrial infrastructure, like power grid or something, or anything? No, let's just randomly attack civilian buildings. Is that where we at? This is insane. Okay, it must have been like a mistake, like target was some other thing, and drone somehow... I mean, it's not like a ballistic missile that flew somewhere, like it's a drone. How did drone... So it must have been the target. I don't know, man. It's insane. Attack a civilian building, that's it?
Being children. They were aged 12, 15, and 17. They never even hit adulthood. This Russian bombardment on Ukrainian cities and civilians lasted for more than 40 hours. But Russia forgot one thing. Ukraine now has the ability to hit back, and they can hit back hard. They don't need permission from the United States or Europe. They can produce weapons domestically, and they can use those weapons to hit wherever they want. That's exactly what Zelensky did. Just hours after Russia's attack concluded, Zelensky had already instructed his defense forces to prepare for a response that was appropriate. And that's an important point here because boy is it gonna be an appropriate response. As defense forces started planning for this appropriate response, we truly learned what kind of travesty Ukraine had to endure. Putin fired more than 3,000 attack drones, 1,300 aerial guided bombs, and 74 missiles directed...
Yeah, look at the numbers, man. 3,000 drones, 1,300 missiles. I guess this just happens in Ukraine, Russia. Is that where we at right now? Why is this not making news? Imagine if Iran launched 3,000 drones at UAE or some other country. That would be instant news like that. That would be devastating. Russia just does that like, okay, I guess it's another Sunday. It's just fucked up, man. And this is just like civilian buildings.
against Ukrainian civilians. Many of these missiles actually hit residential buildings like we just covered. This was one of the most horrible weeks Ukraine had endured since this war started in 2022. And that only meant one thing. This retaliation was going to be something that Russia has never seen before. And this was something Putin was not expecting. Ukraine hit anything and everything you can imagine. Even people in Moscow were not safe. Russian elites living in protected neighborhoods, high-rise neighborhood in Moscow were not safe at all. And unfortunately, it wasn't Ukrainian drones that were hunting these apartment buildings in Moscow. It was Russian air defense systems. But we'll get to that in just a second. Let's continue with what exactly happened. Ukraine launched the largest attack Moscow has ever experienced since the Second World War. That was more than 80 years ago. Now, the reason this was such a big deal, especially the attacks in Moscow, is because take a look at the air defenses and where Putin has put them. He has created 4 rings of multi-layered air defense systems to protect Moscow, his capital city, the biggest city in Russia. Because of
Again, I'm gonna say this: whatever your view of Russia is, there we go. Whatever your view of Russia is, they do have technically. That's a weird way of saying. So they can have this kind of like an Iron Dome type thing, S-300, S-400, S-500, other type of systems. And if there is one place they can put it on, it's Moscow. So whatever your view of Russia is one of those countries from Soviet era or whatever, but they have defenses. They are one of those countries who supply military equipment to other countries around the globe, right? So Moscow is one of those cities that has to be protected with a lot of equipment, which it probably was. And even then, it wasn't enough because a lot of drones probably overwhelmed the system. This is modern warfare. Doesn't matter the system, drones will overwhelm you.
of this setup, people in Moscow felt relatively safe, and that's exactly when the panic hit, when they started seeing Ukrainian drones flying with impunity over Moscow skies. These weren't 1 drones or 2 drones, thousands of them, and we'll show that in just a second. But first, take a look at the Russian reaction when the drones started flying in.
Another one is flying somewhere. There it is.
On a building?
There it is, little.
Ooh, there you go.
Why is it overhead? That's the Yowza, damn it.
That's that one, right? Like the video showed the guy holding it and launching it. How are you launching from Ukraine to all the way to Moscow? It has that level of range?
Second one already, bitch. Probably aiming for my hood. The second one is definitely flying, and they missed it again.
Now, this is another thing I want to point out. In this video, we have a lot of clips coming up from people from Moscow. And that tells us one thing. The city does not get hit very often. So citizens don't know that legally speaking inside of Russia, they are not allowed to record these videos and publish it for the internet to see. This was a rare occurrence, especially the scale of this. And people in their sheer panic started recording and publishing hundreds, maybe even thousands of videos. This is going to be very helpful for Ukrainians for future because they can figure out what was hit, what was not hit, and they can improve their future strikes. But for now, let's get into exactly what they hit. This attack on Moscow and Russia as a whole lasted exactly 48 hours. That was the exact time that the Russian attack that was carried out in Ukraine lasted. This could not be more clear. This was meant to be a direct retaliation and a message to Putin himself. The Russian Defense Ministry itself confirmed that they took down more than 1,000 drones in just a single day. Again, I feel like I'm gonna get tired of saying this, but this is something that has never happened inside of Russia since this war started roughly 4 years ago. Ukraine has never used more than 1,000 drones, and we know they used it yesterday because Russia itself is confirming this. Now imagine how many drones actually hit if Russia.
See, there you go. It probably had S-500, S-400, and many other systems, and they probably worked, right? It's a very fun thing to say, haha, Russian things doesn't work, but they do work. Even in India, S-400 work. Their system works when it works, right? And their best system is probably going to be in Moscow for obvious reason. So they did down 1,000 drones. But what about 2,000? What about 3,000? This is the modern warfare. If your enemy has thousands of drones, what you going to do? So Ukraine probably launched 2,000-3,000 drones just like Russia did, and there you go.
Russia itself is saying that they took down 1,000 drones. According to Ukrainian Systems Forces, in their public statement, they said that they systematically destroyed 46 high-value Russian military and naval assets during this attack. The most terrifying part for Putin was the impact this had on Russian citizens, Russian residents, especially the elites living in Moscow. So far, they have suffered from the war, I'm not gonna lie, but they have not seen what they saw in the last 24 hours. This is something they didn't think was possible. Let me explain what I mean. On your screen, you can see a drone falling near the biggest airport in Moscow. And when I say falling near, you can see the planes are right behind that fire where the drone fell. So this was pretty much on the airport. And because of that, we have footage from inside the airport where you can see it's pretty much dead. It's all dead actually. Planes are not taking off, passengers are not there, and all the check-in counters are just closed down. In fact, we have a clip of a woman living near the airport who reacts to these drone attacks in pretty much live time. Take a listen.
So basically, they're shelling Sheremetyevo airport.
Стреливают. Пиздец.
This is completely fucked.
Я живу
I live
возле-
near... Oh my god.
Мамочки,
Where did it explode this time?
на этот раз взорвалось.
What the hell is this? I'm so sick of
Woman, you're laughing, but things doesn't always hit where it's supposed to hit, and it's very risky to live there. Let's just say, yeah.
this shit.
And this happened all over Moscow. This was just one airport target, and I doubt Ukraine was even trying to target that airport. This is where we have to remember that there has been GPS jamming going on in Russia for the last 2 years. People can't just put in an address on their phone and go to a place they want to go because GPS don't work. And because of this, we have seen Russian people, or I guess people who are going to Russia to visit, basically break down crying because they are lost in the city. Because of all those jams.
Oh, holy, I can't, look, I'm not gonna lie. Sitting here right now without GPS, like that feels so weird, right? Like very old time. I remember the time where GPS wasn't that common before smartphones and you had to ask direction. Could you imagine that? Asking another person on the street, oh, where is this location? Oh my God. All right. So they're basically in the old ways now, asking people for directions. All right.
Jamming, GPS jamming, and drone jamming. Drones sometimes just lose control and fall wherever they are. They just fall down from the sky, and that does cause a random fire on an airport like we just saw. Now, this was happening all over Russia, and we can see that from another clip that came out from a Russian woman who was just walking around. Take a look.
I'm so shocked. I've never been this scared before.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone actually. It seems like everyone is packing up and leaving, and if you take a look around, you can see that everyone is finally heading out the door. We're going to the car and getting the hell out of here. Everyone is standing in the stairwell, everyone is hiding in the stairwells.
And as if this wasn't bad enough already, we had Russian air defenses accidentally shooting.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is like an intense situation, right? Any kind of warfare. When India-Pakistan thing was happening and there was news floating about like, we might test sirens now. And that even in itself felt so weird to me. There was slightly like a anxiety moment that they were gonna test sirens in the case of emergency, because that was weird to me. So I can't even imagine what it is like sitting here while explosions are happening, like anything can fall anytime type of situation. Because like I said, things doesn't always hit where it's supposed to. It could like misfire, or like, let's say intercepting missile or debris can fall where you live. So these are scary things. I can't even process that. So imagine Ukraine for past 2-3 years. Moscow, like this is happening. Imagine people like who's not used to this. This is just like panicky situation. Yeah, war is not good, man. Like people just think this words and numbers. But when you actually feel things like this, that's when you realize that war is not good.
Their own apartment buildings. And this is not something that I'm making up. This is something we have on footage, and on top of that, we have Russian citizens confirming that they saw with their own eyes Russian air defense missiles falling on an apartment building or striking an apartment building.
What?
I'm not sure which one it is, but you guys take a look and let me know in the comments below. Take a look at the strike first.
Пизда.
The hell?
And then we have a clip.
Okay, seriously, man. When the special operation started, a lot of tanks didn't work, a lot of equipments didn't work. Putin really needs to ask himself, like his people, his military generals, are they telling him the right thing? Are they telling him the truth? Because I'm sure before the operation they said like, yeah, all of our equipments are working. They are not. We've seen that like, they all broke down, a lot of them. And now after war dragging on this long, their own defenses are attacking its own city and its all equipment. Like, even in India this doesn't happen, right? Even in India, which uses Russian S-400, that S-400 is not going to misfire. And somehow the same kind of weapons are misfiring in their own country. Only thing implies is they are not taking care of it. The conditions are not good, which means the chain of command, people below it, corruption, let's just say, it's not taking care of the systems. And I guess people on top like Putin and everyone around him doesn't know that. So this is like very structural issue, I think, in the command. Things are not working, things are malfunctioning. This is insane. How does your own missile attacks one of your own building?
Or I guess a TikTok clip from a Russian citizen who's talking about seeing the strike, and she confirms what it is. Take a listen.
Holy they hit basically air defense hit the building next door, the one across the street. Let me gather my thoughts. To the neighboring apartment complex to building 11 is located opposite, right across the road from Nikita's building.
Then you can see the footage on your screen of a Ukrainian drone going into an oil refinery inside of Russia. This is a pretty major refinery in Moscow. This facility is located in Kaponsk district of Moscow, owned by Gazprom, processes roughly 245 barrels of oil per day. And around 40% of that fuel actually goes back into Moscow, so it serves the domestic demand. That means it's one of the most heavily guarded sites in the region, and despite that, a drone is flying in and dealing that could be hundreds of millions of dollars in damage. A single drone. Do you guys think this is a proportionate response so far, or should we keep going? I think we should keep going, because after all, it wasn't Ukraine who started the war, it was Russia. So Russia doesn't get to now decide to stop the war.
Again, I don't know where this goes. Like, why is Putin not thinking like, I thought this was going to be over soon. It's been 4+ years. And if I do something, Ukrainians are answering in similar way. Isn't it better to make some kind of a deal now? Because Trump has been pushing for a deal. It's just not working. Where does this go? Is Putin thinking of escalating things even more? Because what does that look like? Nuclear bomb? I don't even know, man. Is that even possible? And I have this asterisk, feeling, because if Russia uses nuclear bomb on Ukraine, would other nuclear countries respond? Would they not risk Russian nuclear missile on their own country? Because two nuclear countries fear each other, because both of them can nuke each other. But if one nuclear country attacks other that is non-nuclear country, third party is not going to attack the first one, because why would they risk themselves getting nuked? So this is like a weird element. Like if Russia uses tactical nukes, is there a crossing of the line? And if nobody does anything, is Russia using nuclear bombs now? Because last time nuclear bombs were used, war was over. So Russia could think about that. That's what I'm saying. Like if they're pushed so far, Russia could think that. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Comment down. I'm not I haven't seen Russia-Ukraine thing in a long time, so maybe I'm out of loop. Comment down if there is anything more than that. But this is what it feels to me, man. It's not very good to push too much when it comes to a nuclear power. You shouldn't push nuclear power at a limit where they're like, you know what, I'm going to use nukes.
Or just because Ukrainians are heading back. We also had a fuel loading station get hit in the village of Drunusko. The fire was so big that you could see it from miles and miles away. Strikes also included an FSB patrol ship in Kapyansk, an air defense system in Luhansk, and of course Black Sea Fleet communications in Crimea, and multiple different command posts. Ukraine was hitting Russia in water, in air, and of course on
using drones. Ukraine was hitting boats using drones. We know Iranian drones, which also Russia have, can't really pinpoint anything when it comes to boats or moving target. Not that well. Slight, but not that well. But Ukraine has drones that can pinpoint target boats. That is a power.
Land. There was nowhere to hide. As I said at the beginning, the hunters became the hunted. For many Russians, this was their worst nightmare. There was so much panic that we can hear it in the clips coming out where Russians are talking about how they felt. This is something Ukrainians have been feeling for the last 4 years. Majority of this war, Russia was able to hit Ukraine with pretty much impunity. Ukraine was hitting back, but it was nothing proportionate. And now the Ukrainian response is getting very proportionate. So take a look at this Russian reaction.
There was this buzzing sound. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like something was flying right over our house. I was scared. And then when I saw the smoke...
Why is AI, who's supposed to dub this Russian language into English, still uses the Russian accent, which makes it harder to understand English? You're just dubbing it. Why not dub it in a way that English is very easy to understand in an English accent? This is very weird use of AI to me. Don't make it that realistic. If you're dubbing it, might as well do an English accent so it's easier to understand. Because that's not her saying it, that's an accent. Look at the lips and look at the sound. That's AI dubbing.
We woke up at 4 in the morning coming from the woods. Well, not exactly our woods, but the ones on the little hill nearby, just 3 minutes away. There was all that smoke. I thought, oh my God, it's so close. Just actually, that sound right now, those are planes flying. When planes are flying, it means, well, the airport, Sheremetyevo airport is open, so everything is calm. I'd rather they make noise than anything else. Anyway, it was buzzing like that, and then those explosions, I was just shaking. I was lying under the blanket, fully dressed.
Yeah.
The air is biting cold. It chills me to the bone.
Yeah.
Was right there, Valera. I couldn't...
That is real, man. Explosions happen, the vibrations, the air, like echo and everything. That is next level. Like that would fear anyone. Like that's insane.
Calm my nerves.
That would fear anyone? That would scare anyone.
Ukrainian drone commander put out this statement after this whole operation concluded. And the statement was very simple and something that I'm sure Russians think about a lot. Moscow never sleeps. And on top of that, I'm not 100% that's what I mean to say, but I think that's a drone. And the message is written on a wing of a drone that's likely going to go into Russia or Russian occupied territory. So Russians are going to get this message hand delivered.
One-sided subscription to Peaceful Life is cancelled. Important to enter the right conversation. Subscription, all right. I mean, there is a thing to this, right? If you have a government invading and attacking another country, and even if you don't agree with it, you're probably not gonna protest because it doesn't affect your life. But now it does affect your life. You probably will say something about it. So maybe this is the pressure. This is the pressure to Kremlin that will make them think maybe we should make a deal, and this is getting too hot to the home now and people are getting pissed off. Maybe it's one of those things. Maybe this will make Moscow think maybe it's time to do some peace deal. Trump is already pushing for it, might as well do the deal.
One-sided subscription to a peaceful life is cancelled. Important to enter the right conversation, but even more important is the art of exiting alone. Basically, if Putin wants to save himself, he needs to stop the war and withdraw Russian troops. President Zelensky also put out a statement basically clarifying that this attack that Ukraine carried out, it was an entirely...
Okay, isn't this risky? He's outside and he's saying it. I'm pretty sure FSB can pinpoint where he is using the buildings and everything. Like, you're probably a high-value target. Why are you outside like that?
Justified retaliation because of an attack that Russia carried out. Take a look. Our response to Russia's prolongation of the war and its attacks on our cities and communities are entirely justified. This time, Ukrainian long-range sanctions reached the Moscow region, and we are clearly telling the Russians their state must end its war. Ukrainian drone and missile manufacturers continue their work. I'm grateful to the Security Service of Ukraine and all defense forces of Ukraine for their protection and for their precision. The distance from Ukraine's state state border is over 500 kilometers, roughly 300 miles. The concentration of Russian air defenses in the Moscow region is the highest, but Ukraine is overcoming it all. Glory to Ukraine. The situation got so bad for the Russians that they are now open to talking to Europe. And this is a statement coming straight from Kremlin's spokesperson. Peskov says that Kremlin is interested in restoring dialogue with Ukraine. This
Like I said, Moscow gets attacked. Now the people in Moscow, now they are afraid. So they will increase pressure on Moscow, on Kremlin. So yeah, this will be one of those things where it makes it faster for negotiation and peace, right? Because this is no longer just one-sided thing, right? There are other parts of Russia that gets attacked, but in Russia it's different thing for towns to be attacked and Moscow to be attacked. Now Moscow is properly attacked, so like there's going to be increased pressure.
happens on May 17th, right after the Moscow attack. I'm gonna give you guys one guess, if you can guess in the comments why he's saying this now. Now, unfortunately, he's only saying this for the public. He's not really giving the reason as to why. And on top of that, the Russian public outside of Moscow, well, their news is not the news that you guys are getting from this video.
Yeah.
For the Russian public who don't see with their own eyes what's happening, well, they may never know.
Yeah, but don't they have TikTok? TikTok is everywhere. USA uses TikTok. Is their version of TikTok different? Because they probably banned all the American sites, but they didn't ban TikTok. It's Chinese, but America also has TikTok. So doesn't that like slip the news? I don't know, man.
What exactly happened, because this is what Russian news channels are showing. Take a listen yourself.
Last night and this morning, Air Defense Forces repelled one of the most massive Ukrainian drone raids of the entire special military operation.
People have eyes, man. People can hear. Like, what are you talking about? They saw the smoke cloud. You can't just say like we just repelled it. There are no attacks. You can't do that. They can see it. I'm pretty sure smoke was still rising when she was saying that. You can't just extinguish fire like that fast. So like, people heard it, man.
But first, about the repelling of the large-scale Ukrainian drone attack on the capital region. As Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin reported, air defense systems shot down more than 120 drones over the past 24 hours. One of the most massive Ukrainian drone attacks, including against the capital region, was repelled.
Refineries are burning, factories are burning, and the Russian news is saying, the Kremlin state media is saying that, hey, we repelled the attack. But you see, the situation is getting so sickening that now even Russian war bloggers are speaking out against the Kremlin propaganda. These war bloggers are big supporters of this invasion that Putin started, but it's going so horribly.
They are saying things against Kremlin. Can they do that? How are they finding courage to do that? Let's just say. Aren't they afraid?
Wrong that they're now turning against the Kremlin. And this statement that we're about to look at, this comes from Romanov, one of the biggest war bloggers inside of Russia. Take a look at what he said. If you see with your own eyes something that contradicts the statements of official sources, don't believe your eyes. Last night, the debris of a kamikaze drone from the Ukrainian armed forces attacked Amisnov Azov, the largest chemical industry enterprise in southern Russia. But according to the governor of the region, there is no damage. So trust the official sources. Now, of course, he's being sarcastic. He's
But see, he's clever. I'm not being sarcastic. I meant it. So like, officially, he can't be under pressure. Like, why did you say that? What did I say? I said, watch official sources.
calling out the official line and how laughable it is, because take a look at the fire that factory is suffering from. You can see that from probably tens of miles away, and Russia is saying there was no damage. This reminds me of the famous quote from George Orwell. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. For Russia, the war is coming home. According to Zelensky, war is returning to where it came from, to Moscow, and Putin is now telling his citizens that they need to close their eyes and ears. This is not going according to plan at all. My name is Sam. This is
I don't even know what to say that, man. Like, I don't even know what to say. They're point blank saying we repelled it. Really, it would have been better if you didn't report anything. If you just say like, what a heinous attack by Ukrainians on a peaceful people of Russia, I would have liked that at least. because you are just giving your opinion and not really covering it. You're saying it was an attack, but no, what you said, like we repelled the attack. People can see it. What are you talking about? People heard it. People are actually scared. They see the smoke. You can't just say like there was no attack, we repelled it. I don't even know what to say on that, man. I don't know what happens here in the future. There you go. If you want me to do more Russia-Ukraine coverage and do reaction on it, comment down, because I haven't done one in a while. But yeah, this was a big one. All right. If you like my reaction, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.